Good afternoon to one and all, and welcome back for today's third session of this 1 week online induction program on research paper writing and IP rights, sponsored by AICT New Delhi and organized by A.G. Patil Polytechnic Institute, Solapur, in collaboration with IST New Delhi. On behalf of A.G. Patil Polytechnic Institute, I, Naresh Patil, lecturer in Mechanical Engineering Department, would like to welcome our today's guest and keynote speaker of this session, Dr. V.V. Poddar sir, coordinator of this induction program and principal of our institute, Dr. M.H. Chougule sir, vice principal, Shri J.M. Jakatia sir, head of Mechanical Engineering Department, Mr. S.K. Moite, my colleague faculty members and dear participants. The topic of this session is National Education Policy, and to conduct this session, we are fortunate to have Dr. V.V. Poddar sir among us on this online platform of Google Meet. It's a great privilege for me to introduce him on this occasion of induction program. Dr. Poddar sir is eminent professor of mechanical engineering with 35 years of rich experience in teaching, research, and consultancy in the areas of automobile, marine, and aerospace engineering. He is holding exemplary academic achievements like university ranks, best research paper awards, and gold medalist of NPTEL course on soft skills. He has done PhD research work related to indoor air quality improvement using experimental and numerical techniques. He has published more than 50 research papers in reputed international journals and conferences. He is consistent Best Teacher Award winner and conducted many faculty development programs in the field of entrepreneurship, human values, personality development, employability, effective communication, and many more. He is chartered engineer recognized by Institution of Engineers and is a senior member of professional organizations like IEI, ISE, ISNE, CSI, and many more. He is also associated with many social activities and activities including Art of Living Foundation. He is presently acting as Vice Principal at A.G. Patil Institute of Technology, Solapur, Maharashtra. So, such a great personality is available to guide us in this session. I am sure you all are going to enjoy this session. Once again, I welcome you, sir, and I request you to initiate the session on National Education Policy. Over to you, Poddar sir.
Thank you very much, Patil sir, for your wonderful introduction. I don't know whether I deserve it or not, but I love interacting with all my teachers and students. So thank you once again. Let me share my PPT.
Yes, sir.
Full screen. Just check whether Patil sir, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
My
still not, sir.
Still not visible.
Still it's not visible, sir.
We have to do something. Okay. Oh, sorry. Present now I have to do, no?
Yes, present now and select share window.
Yeah. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's visible now, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
So,
okay.
Shall I start now?
Yes, sir. You can proceed, sir.
Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone. Respected dignitaries present over here. Dr. Chougule sir, Vice Principal Jakatia sir, Patil sir, Moite sir, Kulkarni sir, all the eminent teachers in this area, and my dear friends. It's a proud privilege for me to be with you all to give a presentation on National Education Policy 2020, which is this particular 1 week induction program is sponsored by AICT and IST. And you must have had 2 sessions in the morning. I'll not take much of your time. Just whatever interaction we are going to do, let us be here with some positive mindset, because this National Education Policy 2020, it is of much relevance to one and all. We all should understand what are the nuances in this national education policy. And I feel it is of a particular relevance to all the researchers even, because as we are going to see in details, there are specific and special provisions for inculcating the research culture amongst the students at all ages. Now, whatever fragmented research work that is going on for years, and it is very much segmented sort of research that is going on. In this particular National Education Policy 2020, they have attempted to make the relevant changes for inculcating this research thinking right from early age. All these things we'll see. So what I feel is, even though the induction program is related with research methodology and intellectual property rights, there will be something of relevance for all of us once we go through the details of this National Education Policy 2020. Many of us must have attended sessions on NEP 2020 earlier, but still, for those who have not yet been introduced to these details of the policy, let us try to understand what are the provisions, what are the changes the committee has proposed, and what are the changes those are envisaged after implementation of this NEP 2020. So as introduced, I'm Professor Dr. V.V. Poddar, working as Vice Principal at A.G. Patil Institute of Technology, Sholapur. And I have whatever introduction Patil sir has given. Even many students of mine, colleagues of mine are there. They know I'm a passionate teacher. I like interacting with people all the time. So let us treat this as an interactive session, though there'll be some slides which you might feel that what is the relevance, but believe me, in the coming years, all of us will be going through these policy details, right, at various stages of education. So to begin with, let us all try to understand, if we go through the history of civilizations, education has been at the forefront. The educated community always provides you with a well-behaved society, and it creates an image of the country as a whole. Even if we see various states in India itself, as we all know, the literacy rate of Kerala is the highest, and we can make out the changes compared to other states. The kind of health awareness, the kind of curriculum awareness, the kind of social justice awareness is more amongst the educated population. So education is the most powerful weapon which one can use to change the world. It's a big statement, but it's factual, it's a truth. And education is the passport to the future, as we all know. But tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. So it's a duty of all of us to understand the importance of education, and accordingly, the governments at state level, at the national level, are striving to revive and improve these education policies time and again. Quickly, we'll go through the evolution of education policy. Because of the time constraints, I'll not go to the pre-Christ era as such, because India, as we all know, was an education hub. If we talk about the universities of Takshashila and University of Nalanda, if we go through the history pages, people from all over the world used to come to these universities with all those infrastructural facilities, all those literatures available for improvement of civilizations. And whatever we are talking about, these new policies, for thousands of years, the Indians were ahead, thousands of years ahead as far as education was concerned. I'll not go much into those details. I'll not go much into the pre-independence era as well, because Britishers also they tried to revive the education system during their tenure. Just if we go through the genesis after the independence, well, the politicians, earlier politicians, visionary politicians, right from Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, and Radhakrishnan, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan and Maulana Azad were specifically teachers, remember, and they had a big role to play in reviving the education culture in India. So if you just go through the timelines, the University Education Commission was formed in 1948-49. Thereafter, in 52-53, Secondary Education Commission was formed, and thereafter, Kothari Commission was there. Then the National Education Policy on Education was formulated in 1968. All these have a specific gains. Those were obtained during those times. But those were to some extent effective in bringing about the changes in the attitudes of the people and in bringing about the changes as far as the nationalistic approach was concerned. Okay, that was not inculcated in all these earlier policies. Then the latest one, the TSR Subramaniam Committee report, which also brought about some of the changes. And finally, the great Dr. K. Kasturirangan Committee on 31st May 2019 prepared a draft policy. As we all know, Dr. K. Kasturirangan, head of Indian Space Research Organization, he was the chairman of this committee, and the same report is adopted and converted into national education policy. And on 29th of July 2020, the Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, approved this National Education Policy 2020. The policy is based on the draft National Education Policy 2019. The committee was chaired by eminent scientist Padma Vibhushan Dr. K. Kasturirangan, as I told you. So, what is the vision of the policy? If you just go through these points, the major change in the visions of the earlier policies and these policies, as you can see, this policy tries to imbibe the nationalist ethos, the pride for India. They have tried to include that aspect into the education system. Every Indian student should have pride to be an Indian, which was never done in the earlier policies. So to develop an education system deeply rooted in Indian ethos, which has the capability to provide high quality education to compete in the global world. So a global vision is maintained while developing this policy. The curriculum and pedagogy must develop a sense of respect towards fundamental duties and Constitution of India. Unfortunately, earlier policies, they focused more on the technicalities. We talked about the evolution of education policy. So prior to these NEP 2020, there were 7 to 8 various commissions and various policy making. The prominent was 1986 National Policy on Education, and there was some amendment in 1992. So this was a recognizable national level policy on education, and thereafter this Kasturirangan Committee, they developed this. They proposed the new amendments, new changes in the national education policy, and this is where we were. So in the Union Cabinet chaired by Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, approved this National Education Policy on July 29th, 2020. The policy is based on the draft National Education Policy 2019. The committee was chaired by eminent scientists of Indian Space Research Organization, Padma Vibhushan Dr. K. Kasturirangan, sir. And the vision, as we all know, has the vision of this policy is to develop an education system deeply rooted in Indian ethos. So remember, friends, which never was the case in the earlier commissions and policies. This policy makers, they have done specific efforts to include in the curriculum of the school education and even higher education. They have tried to include the subjects and the areas which will strengthen the Indian ethos, which has the capability to provide high quality education to compete in the global world. The curriculum and the pedagogy must develop a sense of respect towards fundamental duties and Constitution of India and have a deep bond with the country. Underline, have a deep bond with the country. If you just go back to our earlier education policies, friends, unfortunately, our earlier education policies never tried to develop this deep bond with the country. ज्याला आपण राष्ट्रवादाची शिकवण म्हणतो किंवा राष्ट्राबद्दलचं प्रेम म्हणतो किंवा राष्ट्राबद्दलचा अभिमान म्हणतो. This reminds me of typically of the country like Japan, wherein the nationalistic spirit, let it be education, let it be industry, everywhere, whatever people do, they do it for the nation, isn't it? The similar kind of thing they have attempted to include in this new policy to develop a sense of pride and respect for the country and be responsible for the human rights, sustainable development, global well-being, thereby reflecting a true global citizen. So this is the broad vision of the policy, friends. Of course, they have given the time frame also. Next 20 years, they want to make this vision into reality. Okay. So the outline of my presentation, we lost some time. We'll try to cover up the various topics. My focus would be, what are the key changes on school education? What are the key changes in HEIs, that is higher education institutes? And we'll see some of the challenges during the phases of implementation, friends. So the key changes for school education: the universal access to primary, from primary, pre-primary to grade 12. They have the target to achieve 100% gross enrollment ratio in school education by 2030. And the major focus is to reduce the dropout rates. As we have seen, the dropout rates at primary school level, the dropout rates at higher education levels, these are higher, these were higher. Now this policy has made specific attempts, and they have provided specific guidelines how to reduce the dropout rates at various stages of education. So to reduce the dropout rate of students through innovative education centers, you're not calling them as schools alone, right? So they don't want to treat these as the compartments or the silos of education. They want to call them as innovative education centers, right? So continuous, which will be providing continuous education, right? Throughout, we call it as life cycle management, throughout the life of the student. So continuous education is the primary focus. So, and they will be stressing more on good infrastructure as well. And more importantly, they'll be training the counselors and social workers and teachers, and they want them to work continuously with students and parents to ensure good attendance and learning in schools. And those who are in the diploma colleges or engineering colleges or professional colleges, now we have seen for the past few years, we have effective mentoring system at the higher education level. We call up, we have a group of 15 students, a mentor-mentee system is there. And this has started happening for the past few years to remain competitive in the professional education, isn't it? So this new education policy, it wants to have the similar kind of thing, effective mentoring of the students as well as parents, so that there will be good attendance and good learning in the schools. And they want to have this type of mentoring, effective mentoring, right from pre-primary to the higher education level, right? So this is one change they want to have. So the objective, as I told you, to curtail the dropout rates and ensuring universal access to education at all levels of learning. Right? So for that, the steps they have suggested to provide regular trained teachers at each stage. Special care should be taken to ensure that no school remains deficient on infrastructure support. Of course, government has plans to provide the financial support and infrastructural support. And in the coming slides, we'll see how they want to have the clusters of education systems where there can be sharing of the infrastructure, there can be sharing of the expert teachers from the localized areas. Right. So universal participation in school by carefully tracking students as well as their learning levels in order to ensure that they are enrolled in and attending school regularly. So attendance will be focused on and have suitable opportunities to catch up and re-enter school in case they have fallen behind or dropped out. Remember, friends, the national government is developing this national policy, expecting that at state levels also, this being education being in the concurrent list. In the central list also education is there, the state list also education is there. With the participation of state governments, they want to make this mentoring effective. The community partnership also will be taken help of. And remember, one more important provision they want to make, they are going to make, is that whosoever are the best teachers who have retired from their services will be used for this mentoring purposes, right? And then scope of the school education will be broadened to facilitate multiple pathways to learning involving both formal and non-formal education modes. Remember, this open and distance learning programs, by virtue of this, because unfortunately, because of this COVID pandemic, we are more accustomed to this online education. But in this NEP, this blended learning will be part of the education system. So whatever ICT tools are there, those will be made available right from pre-primary school level to the higher education level. So open and distance learning programs offered by NIOS, that is National Institute of Open Schooling, and State Open School will be extended to all the schools. And the objective is to curtail the dropout rates. One more important change they want to have, early childhood care education, ECCE. So early childhood care and education, the foundation for learning, the goals are ensuring that all children entering grade 1 are school ready by 2030 to attain optimal outcome in the domain of physical and motor development, cognitive development, socio-emotional development, cultural and artistic development. Remember, friends, we are talking about pre-primary and primary education. So all these aspects will be focused on cultural, artistic development and the development of the communication skills and early languages, literacy and numeracy. Up to grade 3, they have focus on literacy and numeracy. So ECC curriculum and pedagogy development, maybe separate board will be there, which will be helping them out to prepare initial cadre of high quality EC teachers. Plan to introduce 6-month certificate program in EC, 1-year diploma program covering early literacy, numeracy, and other relevant aspects of EC. Right? So the teachers will also be made available through proper training to have this effective ECC, early childhood care and education. Introduction of preparatory class before class 1 for children of age 5 years. Learning shall be based on play-based learning with a focus of development. Remember, friends, now I can recall this is not a new thing for the old people like me, because we had fun learning in our pre-primary era. आपण ज्याला छोटा गट मोठा गट म्हणत होतो, LKG UKG you call, we had that privilege of enjoying learning through. Most of the learning used to be through storytelling, and there used to be only thing is that there used to be a single teacher who will be conducting classes throughout the day, right? Even up to the primary level, the same teacher would be teaching maths also, the same teacher would be teaching English also, Marathi also, Hindi also. But there was sort of a bond and a feeling of belongingness. Well, in this new education policy, they want to have a cadre of trained teachers, which will be helping the students and develop the students so that they'll be able to read with comprehension. Some basic numeracy or numeracy skills will be developed, and learning basic life skills will also be focused in this ECC. And what would be the curricular and pedagogical structure? This will be a major change, as you can see in the graphic. Earlier, we had this 10+2 of this academic structure. Now, in this NEP 2020, there'll be 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. 5, 3, 3, 4 would be the academic and curricular structure, which will be divided into 4 stages. There'll be a foundational stage, there'll be a preparatory stage, and there'll be middle level stage, and there'll be a secondary stage. As you can see, the Anganwadi, preschool, Balvatika, up to 3 years, then class 1 and 2 for 2 years. So these 5 years, and thereafter class 3 to 5, this preparatory stage, class 6 to 8 will be having the middle stage, and then class 9 to 12, right? 9 to 12 for ages 14 to 18, there will be secondary stage. So this new pedagogical and curricular structure is proposed. So at the foundational stage, right, up to age of 5, they want to have multi-level play-based and activity-based learning. In the preparatory stage of 3 years, they want to have play, discovery, and activity-based and interactive. Remember, we are now talking about interactive learning. He is proposing, the committee is proposing, or the government is proposing this interactive classroom learning in preparatory stage itself. And in the middle stage, between class 6 and class 8, experiential learning in the sciences, mathematics, arts, social sciences, and humanities. We'll discuss more in the coming slides. What is this experiential learning? There'll be there'll be a bagless phase of maybe 1 week, 1 month, and they'll be sent to various artisans, various craftsmen, where they'll be learning the hands-on skills, and experiential learning will be provided in this middle stage. And thereafter, in the secondary stage, very, very important, we all know the Bloom's taxonomy, and we know the lower order learning skill and higher order learning skills. The higher order learning skills are expected to be taught at the secondary stage, right? The critical thinking ability, and then problem solving ability. All those higher order learning capabilities they want to have among the students. Greater critical thinking, multidisciplinary study. Remember, in the earlier system, right after 10th, we used to have the silos, compartmentalization. Ha engineering stream mansa badla, ha medical stream madla, ha art stream madla, ha commerce stream madla. So that hard compartmentalization was there in the previous academic structure. But here, as you can see, the student will be able to have the flexible academic structure. He will be having the choice to have, even while learning engineering, if he has passion for art and music, maybe he can take up some of the credits related to art and culture, or maybe music or sports. So that flexibility they are planning to have in these 4 years of secondary stage. So this will be a major transformational change in the pedagogical structure. As we have just now discussed, foundational stage, 4 stages, play and activity-based learning, pedagogy of early childhood care and education, ECCE, focus on good behavior, courtesy, ethics, personal and public hygiene, cleanliness, right at foundational stage, the students will be having. Focus on teamwork and cooperation at the tender age, if it is imbibed. See what kind of citizens these new generation can be. The preparatory stage, there will be gradual transition from play-based learning to more formal classroom-based learning. There will be interactive teaching learning, introduction to subjects, including physical education, art, languages, science, and mathematics, Emphasis will be there on reading, writing, and speaking skills in the preparatory stage. In the middle stage, subject-oriented pedagogical and curricular methodology will be adopted. Subject teachers for learning, discussion of the more abstract concepts in each subject across the sciences, mathematics, arts, social sciences, humanities will be included in this middle stage. And in the secondary stage or high school stage, right, from 8th standard to 12th standard, 4 years of multidisciplinary study from standard 8 to standard 12 will be included. Greater depth, greater critical thinking, greater attention of life aspirations they are planning to focus on. So this will have a greater impact on the attitude of the students. And greater flexibility is provided, and student choice will be given more importance. Exposure to more and more subjects to enable greater flexibility, more frequent assessment of various modules, right? So as you can see, there'll be shift to competency-based teaching, learning, and assessment. So up till now, the rote learning, the memorization type of learning was there. Now, the skill-based and competency. This new policy wants to have the students with at least few of the 50% of the population of the students will have some sort of vocational skill. They'll be having some competency, right? And accordingly, the teaching methodologies would be changing, the assessment methodology would be changing, and the competencies would be checked or assessed. So reducing curriculum to the core essentials to minimize this rote memorization-based learning, right? That burden will be reduced. So promoting critical and creative thinking aligned to 21st century classrooms, shifting traditional assessments to competency-focused assessments, and promoting sports-integrated, art-integrated learning in classroom for holistic development of students. So track the student progress comprehensively and frequently, design tools and resources to acquire learning outcomes. So the outcome-based teaching learning pedagogy would be adopted. So quickly we'll see the highlights of this pedagogical structure: competency-based education, integration of various subjects, development of scientific temper will be thought of while developing this pedagogical structure. No silos or compartment among subjects and learning. There'll be more emphasis on digital literacy, and promotion of multilingual teaching will also be focused in this new pedagogical structure. And for this, National Curriculum Framework for School Education, NCFSE, would be formulated, right? The formulation of a new comprehensive national curricular framework for school education, NCFSE 2020-21, will be undertaken by NCERT based on the principles of National Education Policy 2020 and will be made available in all regional languages. All textbooks shall aim to contain the essential core material deemed important on a national level, but at the same time contain any desired nuances and supplementary material as per local context and needs. This is also a major change. There used to be a state level curriculum, right? And the textbook would be developed by SCERTs or NCERTs, but local contexts were never considered. And yet, just as Solapur, if you're talking about Solapur, famous for textiles. How many of our students know the various textile machineries? What are the handlooms? What are the handicrafts? And what are the textile machineries? Now, all these aspects of local skill levels, local vocations would be included, or the schools would be having that flexibility of including. What you can say is that the geographical indicators, so to say, isn't it? It's famous for pomegranates, famous for sugarcane, famous for textiles, Turkish towels. All these would be considered while developing the textbooks even. So wherever possible, schools and teachers will also have choices in the textbook they employ from among a set of textbooks that contain the requisite national and local material. So, attainment of foundational literacy and numeracy by grade 3 in mission mode. So it's a big change in the approach in this NEP 2020. So, up to grade 3, foundational literacy and numeracy is focused on. It is in the mission mode. Remember, friends, they want to have it in the effective action mode, so that they want to ensure that grade 3, up to grade 3, students will have this foundational literacy and numeracy, right? So foundational skills, universal acquisition of foundational learning skills. So there'll be a national mission on foundational literacy and numeracy. Book promotion would be there. Early learning, focus on early reading, writing, and mathematics will be focused on. As we see the newspapers, various committees go for school inspections, and they found that even the grade 8 students was not able to read, write, and solve a big mathematical problem, arithmetic problem. So all these problems would be overcome because this will be implemented in mission mode. And 3-month play-based school preparation module for all grade 1 students. And there'll be a national repository of high quality teaching and learning resources on Diksha. Diksha, for the past few years, we have seen it is providing a wonderful learning material for all the students and teachers. School libraries, including digital libraries, would be used for providing such material. So as we keep on talking about 20th century skills in the classroom, while learning the pedagogical structure for higher education, we have seen these 21st century skills. Right from school education, students will be exposed to collaboration or collaborative learning skill, digital literacy, problem-solving skills, development of communication skills, critical thinking abilities, creative thinking abilities, focus on health and fitness, awareness of social responsibility, development of sense of belongingness, national belongingness, the human values and ethics, and developing scientific temper. All these are the 21st century skills. Hitherto, those were meant for higher educational institutes, but in this NEP 2020, the educational systems would be so developed that these 20th century skills will be imbibed on the school children even, right? So this is one more highlight of this NEP 2020, contemporary subject, more relevant in the today's digital era. Artificial intelligence, AI will be introduced in school education. Holistic health education will be included. Data science and AI, now there's a special branch that is coming up. All these contemporary subjects will be included in the curriculum of the school level. Then importantly, organic living, design thinking approach. We keep on talking about innovation and innovative ecosystem. We talk about this design thinking approach is a must for innovative ecosystem. This will be included in our school education. Subjects like machine learning will be introduced during the school education. And then, as I told you earlier, year-long course during grades 6 to 8. Survey, which was never, or it used to be taking place in patches, it will be included, and hands-on experience of a sampling of important vocational crafts such as carpentry, electric work, metal work, gardening, pottery making, etc. will be included during grades 6 and 8. This would be decided by states and local communities and as mapped by local skilling needs, right? The Skill Development Council, if you have seen, National Skill Development Council, NSDC, it had identified the skilling needs, isn't it, for the professionally educated students. Now, those local skill needs will be mapped, and those will be made available to the students depending on the importance and relevance of local needs of, as I gave you the example of textiles, what are the specific skills those are required, so that the students would be taken to those spinning mills, swimming mills, right? And thereafter, they'll be taught importance of. Patil sir, just mute somebody. There is a disturbance. Patil sir. Patil sir, please mute somebody. His mic is on. So, along with these local skill needs, mathematics and computational thinking would also be promoted. So, increased emphasis throughout the school years, starting with the foundational stage, will be emphasized. Use of variety of innovative methods, including regular use of puzzles and games that make mathematical thinking more enjoyable and engaging. Introduction of activities involving coding, right? Introduction of activities involving coding in the middle stage. Some schools have already started implementing, but after the implementation of this NEP 2020 at national level, right? So these coding skills will be focused more, right, from the intermediates and middle level of the schooling, so that by the time they complete their higher education, they would be the experts, right? We have seen the news related to a 7th standard or 8th standard student winning a global competition of coding. There's so many examples. So keeping that in mind, these coding skills will be included in the curriculum. There'll be, as I told you earlier, emphasis will be there on vocational education. 10-day bagless period during grades 6 to 8 for students to intern with local vocational experts such as carpenters, gardeners, potters, weavers, spinners, artists, etc. would be made compulsory. Internship opportunities to learn vocational subjects throughout grades 6 to 12. Vocational courses through online mode also would be attempted. Periodic exposure to activities outside school through like meeting local artists and craftsmen. Vocational courses to be offered through open and distance learning mode also. Remember, by 2025, there will be an attempt to at least have at least 50% of the learners shall have exposure to vocational education, right? So there will be more emphasis on vocational education. This is very important. Knowledge of India will be focused. Indian knowledge system, including tribal knowledge, indigenous and traditional ways of learning and specific courses in tribal, ethno-medicinal practices, forest management, traditional organic crop cultivation techniques, natural farming will be made available, right? Video documentaries on inspirational luminaries of India and as well as it is also very important. Students to visit different states as part of cultural exchange programs. Now, this cultural exchange program is very popular amongst these Rotary clubs and Lions clubs. Now, they're taking a leaf out of such systems, wherein the students from India will be going to maybe Brazil, and Brazilian students would be coming to India. This is in practice for the past 10 years, but it is meant for few, such a short, small class of students, privileged students. Now it will be made available to all the students, right? So that there will be cultural exchange program at state level amongst different states, right? And this will be focused more so that students will be exposed to such Indian cultural systems, right, friends? Wait, there are some problems. I don't know. Yeah. There was some interruption. Yes. Probably it is. Patil sir, it is visible now, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Absolutely visible.
Right. So apart from these curricular changes, in the school education itself, health education would be made compulsory. And this pandemic has made us very much aware of the importance of knowledge of health education, right? Basic training in health, including preventive health, mental health and well-being, nutritional importance, personal and public hygiene and first aid, detrimental and damaging effects of alcohol, tobacco and tobacco products and other drugs. Students will be made aware. And this multilingualism and language learning is also focused. Children whose primary language is not the language of instruction in school are more likely to drop out of school or fail in early grades. So, mother tongue, home language, local language as a medium of instruction wherever possible until at least grade 5, preferably till at least grade 8 will be made available. The languages of India, one project activity in the schools to familiarize with the diversity of languages in the country will be included. So this multilingualism and language learning will be the important highlight. We'll quickly browse through the assessment reforms. Apart from the curricular changes, pedagogical changes, the assessment will also be changed, transforming assessment for student development. Shift from rote memorization skills to formative assessment, right, is more competency assessment, right? Competency assessment will be done. It promotes learning and development of students. This new assessment system tests higher order skills such as analytical abilities, critical thinking abilities, conceptual clarity aspects of learning. Assessment for learning will optimize learning and development of all the students. This will be the underlying principle for assessment at all levels of education, right? So there'll be exams. This is the important slide, friends. Grade 3rd, there'll be exam. Grade 5th, there'll be exam. Grade 8th, there'll be exam, apart from our grade 10 and grade 12 board exams. The number of examinations they want to reduce, and the examinations will be testing the core concepts, right, and move away from rote memorization assessment, right? Pathantaravar just the focus time, but whether the student has understood the core concepts, right? And these assessments will be carried out through various agencies. There'll be some nationalized agencies also, some state level agencies also. And the important highlight will be the student data is anonymized and public disclosure by schools of their overall outcomes. And the focus is more on conceptual understanding of the students, right? And use of this data, and this data of the abilities of the students will be made available at state level, at national level, right? So all students will take the school examination in grade 3, 5 and 8, apart from grade 10 and 12. And the achievement of basic learning outcomes through assessment of core concepts and knowledge from the national and local curricula, along with relevant higher order skills, and application of knowledge will be focused more in real life situations. So this will be tested. Application of whatever knowledge the students have acquired, whether they're able to apply that knowledge in real life situations, that will be tested, that will be assessed, rather than the rote memorization skills. And the report cards would also be redesigned, which used to be, right, when we learned our school education. The report card used to be, for some, of course, the point of pride, those studious students, but for many of the students, used to be a terror period when the result cards are seen by the parents, your mother and mom and dad. People, students used to be afraid of showing these progress cards. Now, in this NEP 2020, it is totally redesigned, right? Because those grades and all those things will be removed, right? Progress in project-based and inquiry-based learning will be assessed and will be shown on the report card. Various quizzes, role plays, group work, portfolio, these will be assessed and these will be highlighted in your report card. Self-assessment and peer assessment. I'll be checking my fellow friend, my benchmate, and my benchmate will be assessing me. So it will be fun, and it will be with open heart and open mind. I know this, I don't know this. You know this, you don't know this. So the objective is to improve the conceptual understanding, right? To try to overcome whatever weaknesses I have and collaborate with my strengths, with my neighbor, isn't it? Right. So that is the objective of this assessment technique. Importantly, progress in cognitive domains, progress in affective domains, and progress in psychomotor domains would be given more importance rather than those marks, right? Those will not be given more importance, right? So, how these faculties, psychomotor faculties, cognitive skills, affective domain skills, whether those are improved amongst the students or not, will be given more importance. Interactive questionnaires for parents, teachers, and students, right? So, so that the objective of this assessment would be development, not merely ranking of the students, right? Number one, पहिला rank, 40वा rank, used to have a comparative analysis. म्हणजे हा हुशार. But what was that hushari? What was that ranking meant earlier, right? Only number of marks he's scoring. But we rarely bothered about what is the, whether the scientific temper is developed among the students or not, whether the psychomotor skills are improved or not, whether the cognitive skills are improved or not, whether the analytical abilities are improved or not. We hardly bothered about development of those skills. But in this new NEP, this will be assessment techniques would be development, and at various stages, teachers would also be assessed, right? So I'll skip this guidelines part of assessment. There'll be National Assessment Center for School Education, and there will be a National Curriculum Framework for School Education. Right? These are already made available, and there'll be boards of assessments also to help us out in having this National Assessment Center. The center will advise the school boards regarding new assessment patterns. All the schools will be given the guidelines regarding these new assessment techniques. This is a very important development as far as this NEP is concerned. Setting up of PARAK, right? It's a short form of National Center for Performance Assessment, Review, and analysis of knowledge for holistic development. So PARAKH stand for Performance Assessment, Review, Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. So this holistic development is focused on. So shift towards, as far as assessments are concerned, shift towards competency-based assessments would be there, and focus would be more on 20th century skills. Those are required so that the students coming out through such a system would be globally competitive. So objectives of PARAK: setting norms, standards, and guidelines for assessment and evaluation, guiding the state achievement survey, conducting national achievement survey, and monitoring achievement of learning outcomes in the country. So support for gifted students. Well, we talk about the underprivileged students. Of course, there is some percentage of students who are extraordinarily gifted. So there is the provision for these gifted students or students with special talents even. So Olympiads and competitions would be conducted, and project-based clubs would be encouraged, and encourage the gifted, talented students to pursue beyond the general school curriculum. They'll be encouraged to have the knowledge beyond the curriculum. Efforts for interventions in rural areas and in regional languages to ensure widespread participation, right, of the students. Extensive use of technology would be promoted, and NCERT and NCT will develop guidelines for the education of gifted children. Well, to accomplish all these things, teacher education is also must. So there are separate provisions in this NEP 2020 for teacher education. NEP aims to support and nurture teachers through all phases of their tenure, right from recruitment in the classroom and professional development as well. So there are national professional standards for teachers will be developed by 2022. Quality 4-year integrated B.Ed programs will be there. TETs will be strengthened. Schools and school complexes will hire local eminent person experts as master instructors. Teacher education will gradually be moved by 2030 into multidisciplinary colleges and universities, right? So there'll be three classes of B.Ed, right? So to say, there'll be a 4-year integrated B.Ed course. There'll be so similar thing is there for law education, right? After 12th standard, students can pursue a 5-year integrated course in Bachelor of Laws. Similarly, maybe after higher secondary, there can be a 4-year integrated B.Ed course, or for graduates, bachelor degree holders, there will be 2-year B.Ed course, and for postgraduate degree holders, there will be 1-year B.Ed course. So these will be the restructuring, those will be taking place. Focus would be more on continuous professional development of the teachers and improving standards. Teachers will undertake 50 hours of CPD, that is continuous professional development, every year, which would be driven by their own interests, right? I'll be sharing these PPTs, don't worry. Because of the time constraint and loss of time in between, I'm moving a bit faster. This is also very important. Equity and inclusivity in education, right? This is one of the fundamental rights which is given in our Indian Constitution also. In this NEP, this is given more weightage. Equitable and inclusive education is focused in NEP 2020. So education is the single greatest tool for achieving social justice and equality, right? As we can see, our previous educational system, there is a strict compartmentalization, right? The affordable ones and non-affordable ones. Those non-affordable ones to go to government schools or wherever free schools are possible. Now, NEP 2020 tries to bring about all these private and government organizations on a common platform. So there'll be equitable and inclusive education for all the classes of the society, right? NEP seeks to bridge gender and social category gaps in all levels of the school education. As Desmond Tutu said, how this inclusive and equitable education can bring about social development. Inclusive, good quality education is the foundation for dynamic and equitable societies. Friends, this is very important, because dynamic and equitable societies, the crime rate, which is rising because of these inequalities, this crime rate is rising. So this inclusiveness will bring majority of the people in the mainstream of education, and all these societal problems can also be reduced by making provisions for equitable and inclusive education. There will be a special focus on SEDGs, that is socio-economically disadvantaged groups. There will be gender identities, particularly female and transgender individuals will be identified, and they'll be brought under a common platform, and they'll be provided with facilities. Socio-cultural identities like SCs, STs, OBCs, and minorities, there'll be some provisions for these SEDGs. Geographically important identities such as students from villages, small towns, and aspirational districts. And this compartmentalization we clearly see. खेड्यातला मुलगा, तालुक्यातला मुलगा, शहरातला मुलगा, मुंबईतला मुलगा, पुण्यातला मुलगा. So that those compartments would be erased, and those will be brought under at a common level. Students having disabilities, learning disabilities, there are special provisions envisioned in this NEP 2020. Socio-economic conditions like migrant communities, low-income households, children in vulnerable situations, victims of or children of victims of trafficking, orphans, including child beggars in urban areas, and the urban poor. So separate strategies are formulated for focused attention for reducing each of these categorized gaps in school education, right? So supporting children with special needs, CWCSN that we call it as, enabling mechanisms will be formulated for CWSN, that is children with special needs, Divyang to receive quality education. Children with special needs will be integrated in the regular schooling process from elementary to higher education levels. Assistive devices and orientation to parents will be provided. NIOS, National Institute of Open Schooling, will develop high-quality modules to teach these Indian sign languages, particularly for students with disabilities. Alternative schools will be provided. There will be certification courses for pre-service and in-service teachers to become special educators for students for fulfilling the requirements of students with special needs. Now, how to ensure the equitable and inclusive education, friends? Special education zones will be provided. Of course, the government will be providing the financial provisions will be made. Gender Inclusion Fund will be provided, right? ECCE, as we discussed earlier, early child care education will be strengthened. Alternative forms of school will be encouraged. State students in the schools would be encouraged to appear for state or board examinations, and assessments would be made by NTA, which is presently conducting exams like NEET, isn't it? UG NEET and PG NEET. But NTA will be providing the state level and national board level examinations also, right? Special attention will be given to reduce the disparities for SC and STs. NCC wings will be opened at secondary and higher secondary school levels. Students will be sensitized through this new school culture brought in by teachers, trained social workers, and counselors. So through this, they want to have equitable and inclusive education. As I told earlier, vocational education would be integrated in school education at all levels. Lok Vidya, that is knowledge developed in India, will be made accessible to students. Practice-based curriculum would be encouraged. Skill gap analysis will be carried out, and skill framework. See, an SQF, you must have read, those who have gone in for NAC and NBA. NSQF is well-known phrase, and this will be included in school education as well. Open and distant learning, ODL, will be encouraged. There will be courses at school level. Vocational education will be promoted. And by 2025, at least 20% of the learners shall have exposure to vocational education. Online and digital education will also be promoted to enhance educational access to disadvantaged groups, including the Divyang students. Digital platforms would be made available. Blended learning will be encouraged. Pilot studies will be carried out to assess the requirements at various stages. Content creation, as we all are aware, various universities in DIBA2 also, all the teachers are encouraged to write textbooks. So similarly for school education also, writing of content, development of content is being encouraged. Expansion of platforms, these Swayam platform and Diksha platforms, which are presently available for higher secondary schools and higher education, will be made, will be extended, and will be provided for primary education as well. This is also highlight adult education and lifelong learning is will be encouraged, and this adult education will be integrated with HEIs, right? And technological based options like adult learning, such as apps would be developed, online courses at satellite-based TV channels would be developed, online books would be made available to encourage adult education and lifelong learning. So timelines we'll quickly see, right friends? As far as educational system reforms are concerned, phase 1 by 21-22, initiating implementation of first year, 1 year of pre-primary education and 3-month preparatory module for class 1 students. And by 23-24, expansion of 1 year to pre-primary school through primary schools and Anganwadis. By 2023-24, this phase 2 will be accomplished. As far as the implementation of new curriculum and assessment is concerned, this is very much important. By 21-22, 9th class, new curriculum would be implemented. 22-23, class 10 curriculum will be revised, and new board exam pattern for class 10 students from 22-23 will be implemented, right? For new curriculum for class 11 in 23-24, and by 24-25, class 12, new board exam pattern for class 12th, right? So these will be the timelines, and they are very much on track for to meet these timelines. As far as NEP 2020 is concerned, right? So I'll not get into details. By right, the policies will be fully operational by 2040. There are various stages to be accomplished by 22-23, by 25-26, attaining universal foundational literacy and numeracy in all primary schools for all learners by grade 3, right? Like that. And they want to have multidisciplinary and integrated teacher education programs shall be enforced, and all teacher education institutes will be converted into multidisciplinary institutes by 29-30, right? So these are the few milestones they want to reach by 2040, right? So quickly, these were the changes expected in school education. We'll quickly browse through the changes expected in higher education institutes. The major objective is to increase the gross enrollment ratio from 26.3% to 50% by 2035. We'll see the major key changes moving towards a higher education system consisting of large multidisciplinary universities and colleges. At least one university, this is very important, one university in or near every district. Fortunately, Sholapur already has one university. More HEIs across India that offer medium of instruction or program in local or Indian languages. Moving towards a more multidisciplinary undergraduate education. Moving towards faculty and institutional autonomy. Revamping of curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support for enhanced student experiences. This is very important. Reaffirming the integrity of faculty and institutional leadership positions through merit appointments and career progressions based on teaching, research, and services. And establishment of NRF. This is already, the document is released, friend, National Research Foundation, to fund outstanding peer-reviewed research and to actively seed the research in universities and colleges. Right? Governance of HEIs by highly qualified independent boards having academic and administrative autonomies. And the regulation, the affiliation process also, they are going to simplify. Light but tight regulation will be encouraged, and increased access and equity and inclusion through a range of measures, including greater opportunities for outstanding public education. This is a major change. Scholarship for private and philanthropic universities for disadvantaged and underprivileged students, the provisions are made. ODL, online education and open distance learning, and all infrastructure and learning materials will be made accessible and available to learners with disabilities. Well, the new conceptual perception will be changed related to universities. There will be two varieties of universities: research intensive universities and teaching intensive universities. And smaller than a typical university would be the autonomous degree granting colleges, ACs, with large multidisciplinary institution of higher learning that grants undergraduate degrees and is primarily focused on undergraduate teaching. Whereas university, a multidisciplinary institution of higher learning that offers undergraduate and graduate programs with high quality teaching, research, and community engagement. This will be a new perception regarding academic colleges and universities. The process of higher education, this we all must know, to reduce the dropout rates, right? Once you are into higher educational institute, if he completes 1 year of 4-year degree course, he will be provided with the certificate, right? And there'll be provision for multiple entry and multiple exit. Using this, if he exits the college, this certificate will be useful for employment, okay, for starting some business of his own. If he completes 2 years of education, he'll be provided with a certificate, advanced diploma certificate. If a student completes 3rd year of his education, higher education, he'll be provided with bachelor's degree. And if he completes 4 years of higher education, he will be provided with a degree, bachelor's degree with research. It's a very important shift in this NEP. So most of the degrees, most of the bachelors will be getting, including professional courses, they can get their bachelor's degree in 3 years instead of 4 years, right? And they can earn their diploma certificates in 2 years. They can earn their certificates in 1 year, right? As far as post-graduation is concerned, those who are completing 4-year courses, 4-year bachelor's program, within 1 year, they can earn their master's program. And those who are completing their bachelor's degree in 3 years, they'll have to undertake the post-graduation 2-year program, right? The second year devoted entirely to research, right? So, in all, within 5 years, the students of higher education will be able to take the postgraduate degree. And there is an integrated 5 years bachelor or master's program also. Importantly, PhD requires either a master's degree or a 4-year bachelor's degree with research. MPhil would be abolished, and there'll be a multiple entry and multiple exit system with different specializations. Remember, students of engineering can specialize by earning certain credits, and he can make a career in music also. He can make a career in contemporary cultural studies also, right? So that flexibility would also be provided in this higher education process, right? It's a major change, bringing flexibility. The credit-based system, which is already practiced, will be made more effective. There'll be academic bank of credit. The credits those you earn at various stages would be utilized, right? And those would be like a bank, right? Educational repository. These certificates तुमचे त्या repository मध्ये locker मध्ये available असतील, and those credits can be utilized for earning some other credits as well. So academic bank of credit, digitally store the academic credits earned from various recognized higher educational institutes, right? And interchangeability असेल, आता जे स्टेट वाइज नियमात बदल आहे किंवा हे केलं असेल तरच तुला हे करता येईल, those will be regularized, right? Can anyone check? Yes, anyone can check the academic records of any person similar to Aadhaar card. Hey, the digitally the locker मध्ये those can be directly assessed or accessed. म्हणजे तुम्ही जॉब करायला गेला, तुमच्या डिजिटल लॉकर मधून तुमच्या क्रेडिट्सला तुम्ही ऍक्सेस द्या, those will be assessed, right? All the students' data will be collected and anyone can refer to it. It's a major change. Model public universities for holistic and multidisciplinary education at par with IITs, IIMs. Those are called as MERUs. Multidisciplinary education and research universities are set up, will be set up, right? This is a major change. So for that, motivated, energized, and capable faculties would be required. Each faculty member must be happy, enthusiastic, engaged, and motivated towards advancing his or her students, and there should be dedication towards institution and profession. HEI is equipped with the basic infrastructure and facilities, freedom to design their own curricular and pedagogical approaches, very important, empowering faculty to conduct innovative teaching and research and services, right? Excellence will be incentivized through appropriate rewards, promotions, recognitions, and movement into institutional leadership. Faculty not delivering on basic norms will be held accountable. So accountability would be more. So challenges for the institutions to become truly interdisciplinary for survival, right? Have to be excellent education provider. They should be able to produce quality research, provide innovative curriculum, compete with foreign universities, provide best possible learning environment, attract best students and best faculty, even use the best practices. So this will be major challenges for the institutions. Effect on you and me, all teachers, teaching job will become more challenging. We have to update ourselves at the earliest, prepare for new situation, right? The disturbance in between, we'll try to overcome that. Yes. Right. So we have to carry out, we have to be much interdisciplinary as far as possible. We need to carry out quality research. We need to do quality teaching. We have to be innovative in teaching and learning, because survival would be there only of the fittest. So we need to be fittest at various levels. So what are the few challenges? We'll quickly see the challenges. Language policy can be debatable. The provision for education in the mother tongue till class 5 could pose challenges to the mobility of students in large and diverse country like India. म्हणजे समजा NTPC मध्ये केएलईच्या स्कूलमध्ये एखादा विद्यार्थी शिकतो, तो ओडिसामधून आलेला आहे आणि मग इफ आय एम प्रोव्हाइडिंग एज्युकेशन इन मराठी, त्याची उडिया भाषा आहे. So there could be some problems while implementing this language policy. Of course, there'll be more interaction and refinements would be there. But right now, this is a challenge. Option to study in language like English and Hindi, it enables a transfer nationally needs adequate attention. Yes. Well, as I told you earlier, this education is in the list of central government as well as state governments. As we have seen, the case of agriculture laws, many states, the central government made certain provisions or made changes, brought about changes in agriculture laws. Well, many states opposed those changes. Similar thing might happen because education is a prerogative of states as well as central government. Some states might oppose. So, idea of National Higher Education Regulatory Council as an apex control organization and a national body for aptitude tests is bound to be resented by states, right? Because every state might think that my assessment strategies are going to be best. Who is the NTA to assess? Like the thing has happened in CBSE comparison of state boards and CBSE. Similar things might happen. So this is also a major challenge. Then conflicting interest, the new education policy or National Education Policy 2020 is asking for focusing more on vocational education. See, the lack of popularity of vocational training and blue collarization of vocations in the society act as obstacles in the introduction of vocational training in some schools, right? So the shift to a 4-year undergraduate degree system may lead to situation where overzealous parents may stream their children into professions at the earliest, thus burdening the students further. Well, there will be legal complexities surrounding the applicability of two operative policies, namely RTE, Right to Education Act of 2009 and NEP 2020. Of course, this is to be sorted out. So this might pose some challenges. Certain provisions such as age of starting schooling will need to be deliberated upon in order to resolve any conflict between the statute and the recently introduced policy in the longer run. So keeping these challenges in mind, of course, the government will also work out the expected outcomes. Quickly we'll see. Bring back 2 crore out of school children will be expected. Teachers to be prepared for assessment reports in 2023. Universalization of from ECC to secondary education by 2030, aligning with sustainable development goals. 4th sustainable development, attaining foundational learning and numeracy skills through national mission by 2025. Well, 100% gross enrollment ratio in preschool to secondary level by 2030. Inclusion, equitable education system by 2030, board exams to test core concepts and application of knowledge. Every child will come out of school adept in at least one vocational skill. Common standards for learning in public and private schools. This is also very important outcome that is expected. So, having said all these things, friends, the key input to quality education is the availability of high quality intellectuals to teach, instruct, expose, explore, and innovate and inspire the students. So it is the duty of the teaching fraternity to transform our nation into a vibrant economy and strong society by proper implementation of NEP 2020. I think, friends, I stop here. If you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you very much. I would like to thank everyone. Patil sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
More time?
If any participants are having any doubt, then you can ask.
Please.
Even you can put your queries in chat box also. Okay. I think no one is having any doubt regarding this session.
Right. Thank you very much, Patil sir and AGPPS.
Good evening to one and all. Dear friends, as I told you earlier, a very beautiful session was conducted by Poddar sir. The session was very informative and interesting as well. Sir have explored many critical points associated with national education policy in a very simple, effective and interesting manner. The session was fruitful in all aspects and I am sure you all enjoyed it. On behalf of A.G. Patil Polytechnic Institute, I would like to thank Dr. Vishwajit Poddar sir for sparing his valuable time for this session. I also extend my gratitude towards all the participants for your active participation and making this session more interactive. Once again, thank you very much to all. The feedback and test link will be shared on your WhatsApp group within 15 minutes. So that's all for day 3. Tomorrow we will meet again with new speaker and new topic. Thank you very much. Have a good day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.